Well, Graham Ong-Webb is a research fellow at the Rajaratnam School of International Studies. He joins us from Singapore. Thanks so much for speaking to us, Graham. I mean, how much of a concession is this really? The way Trump looks at it, canceling the drills saves the U.S. a lot of money, and it just avoids unnecessary provocation.
Well, it all depends how we see it. Well, from China's point of view, this is a pretty good development because they've always said all along that a dual suspension policy would be the most equitable way forward for both sides. When I talk about both sides, I mean North Korea and the US. So as you know, the North Korean regime have agreed to put a moratorium on missile testing and nuclear testing a few months ago. They've maintained that. And the expectation has always been for the Americans and presumably the South Koreans and the Japanese, by extension, to reciprocate in some way. So the reciprocation we're seeing right now is the decision to cease or suspend at least the joint military exercise between the South Korean military and the US military coming up in August.
It sounds like Japan, though, is worried now that US troops may be pulled out of South Korea off the back of this, which would leave Japan vulnerable. Would the U.S. let that happen?
The Trump administration may very well negotiate away the presence of U.S. troops in South Korea. There has been a concern from both sides of the aisle back in the U.S. between the Democrats and the Republicans that the Trump administration, or President Trump in particular, may do the unpredictable thing, which is to do something of that sort, which is to negotiate away U.S. troops. But mind you, in middle of May, the Armed Services Committee actually signed an amendment to the bill, to the National Defense Authorization Act, to ensure that U.S. forces, if they were to be ratcheted down, that they couldn't possibly go down below the number 22,500. Right now, we're seeing about 28,500 troops. So this is an anticipation of the prospect, if you like, that the Trump administration may do that. So certain caps have been put in place. Is a fail-safe against that possible development. But nevertheless, I think in the interim, we are unlikely to see that happening. I think it doesn't make any sense whatsoever for the U.S. to remove forces from South Korea, because those forces actually serve as a wedge, a pin, if you like, to maintain deterrence against the North Korean military.
Okay, Graham Ong-Webb joining us there from Singapore. Thanks so much for that.